Hey, sexy punks. Welcome back to another episode of the Pop Culture Punks podcast, where we bring the pop culture to you. This week, I'm your host, Phil, and across the table from me is your boy, Josh.
Yes, sir.
I'm transitioning back to normal voice.
This is your boy.
So we survived the polar vortex, barely, and we're here this week with a special guest.
Alive and well.
His name's Isaac, and other than being my brother-in-law, for those of you who do not know, he crafts music under the name Orchid Whales. He's got 2 EPs. First one was Sleepin' In. Second one was A Curious Adventure, and you can check them both out on iTunes and Spotify and other places, maybe?
Pretty much everywhere, yeah.
Cool. So
All
check
the
him out
platforms.
everywhere. And then he's also been a drummer and still is a drummer. He's the one who created the little ditty at the beginning. Not the one at the beginning of this one, though.
Not this.
But every other episode, the little punk track that we got. And he even helped me record my first EP. So he's super talented at music and all that jazz. And we're excited to have him on.
Yes,
this week.
sir.
Yeah,
So,
I'm glad to be here.
Dope.
Yeah. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Feeling good?
Yeah.
Nice.
Excited. Survived the polar vortex?
Yeah, just barely.
Like we did, yeah.
Well,
you
you
guys-
had classes canceled, right?
I did, yeah. There was no class on Tuesday or Wednesday and Thursday. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
So did
Thank
you
goodness.
do anything crazy to like test out how cold it actually was?
Well, I mean, there's the boiling water trick thing,
Yep.
you know, where you throw.
Yeah.
I did that, and it
Did it work?
worked partially, but I think it almost wasn't cold enough. It's supposed to be, I think, -60, and
Oh.
it was only like -40, so
20 degrees.
didn't fully
Dang.
work. But I mean, it was still cool. You still
Nice.
saw it still evaporated like pretty much instantly.
Nice.
So.
Sweet.
That's
That's
cool.
awesome.
So normally at the beginning we do a little pop culture recommendations segment where we kind of recommend movies, video games, TV, anything that we really enjoyed that week that we want to recommend to the listeners. But we figured we'd open the floor to you. Is there any music or TV or movies that you've been watching lately?
Put me on the spot.
Yeah.
Let's think. I don't think I have anything that I can think of at the moment.
What have you been? So when you walk to class, are you like silence? You're just in go mode? Do you listen to any music?
Yeah, sometimes.
or-
Well, so when I bike to class, I don't listen to music. Feels kind of unsafe. But let's see. Band I've been listening to a lot lately. They're called Pro-Teens. It's like pro-teens.
Nice.
Teens, and they're really good. They're I think they're like a California band, not very known, but they're really cool. It's like sort of like surf rock, lots of guitars, like a lot of reverb kind of stuff. It's
Sweet.
It's very cool.
Cool,
and,
cool.
A big influence too. So
Nice. Are they like recent or have they been around for a while?
No,
Up
they're.
and
I
coming?
mean, I think they've probably been at it maybe like 4 or 5 years or
Okay.
something like that. But
fairly
they,
recent.
yeah, they've. I think they mainly stay local. Like I don't think they do any national tours or anything like that.
Nice.
So
Oh, wow.
yeah,
That's
That's
dope.
cool.
get some indie music for you. People
Cool.
yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah,
we
we're
pretty
always
much
trying to-
we always got like metal and punk and
Pretty
folk,
much.
whatever is
Folk.
going on.
That's
Folky,
true.
Folky stuff.
Very true.
Is there anything you've been on, Josh?
I so highly recommend. There's this game Wargroove that just came out on the Switch, and it's basically like Fire Emblem. So it's this like turn-based tactical.
I've heard it's
thing.
like Advanced Wars.
It
Have
is.
if
So
you've ever
it's
played
kind of
that.
the same vibe.
Okay.
But I played it with a friend online yesterday. The anxiety was real. You're seriously like, frick, don't you dare do what I think you're going to do. And you're like, oh, he just did what I
Oh, it's
thought
like
he was going to
versus,
do.
like you were
Yeah, so we were like
oh.
playing each other.
kinda like
so
chess
that,
almost,
it's
like
very
you're-
much like that. So it was very, very, very cool. And it's very, I think Chucklefish is the publisher. So they have a lot of really killer titles. So that... And I did watch the first episode of The Punisher.
Same.
Season 2.
Same.
Wow.
Yeah.
Frank's at it again, baby.
They're starting off quick with this one.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I just classic freaking Netflix, and they're like, gotta make you feel things, and
Yep.
let's go for pancakes, mom. Like, oh, and then you might die. So,
Yep.
yeah. So it's bloody mayhem, absolute bloody mayhem,
Which
as
is
I
what you
thought it
want
would
from
be.
the Punisher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just, I like, the funny thing is it's so weird because you're seeing Frank in the beginning as this like very even keeled, like his like normal self where he's like, yeah, I'm just here having a beer. Like, don't talk to the lady like that. Like, that's his thing. And then when he's in the bathroom and he's got the belt around his arm after he basically like killed 3 people, he's like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? And you're like, jeez.
I know, he goes from being like a normal human being to just like completely psychotic.
Like the Punisher, and he's just like, what are you doing? Why are they after you? Like, wow.
It's horrifying how he contains his emotions.
That's the man
like
I know.
That.
Yeah. So I'm excited. The first episode is good. Other than that, that's been pretty much. Definitely recommend season 2 so far. And War Groove for the Switch. I think it's coming out in other stuff, but not for a couple months because I think Nintendo's
got that exclusive license for a while.
For a little bit. Yep.
Cool. Yeah, I haven't done a ton. I beat BioShock in like a week because I was just like obsessed with it. And then I started playing a game called Gears got me worn out on that. And then I started playing Prey, so that's been fun. And I've been like binging hard on that. So, and then music wise, I've still been like for some reason obsessed with Say Anything. I've like listened to all of their albums like 5 times each now, and just
nice.
Like, I don't know. So,
do you know Say Anything? I'd never heard of them.
Not really. I mean, like the name is definitely something I've heard before. But.
Sure. They're like, I explained it last week, but they're like they're one of the bands that came up in like the emo pop punk type scene. But like, I'm listening to it, and it doesn't sound like it doesn't sound like emo in a sense. Like. Okay. You can tell he was like trying to reinvent himself on like every song, so it's like it's super interesting. So yeah, but I don't know, it's been my jam lately.
Nice.
So,
Good deal.
That's pretty much it.
Sick.
Cool. So I know a lot about what you've done in music so far. We'll just jump right into it.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good.
I'm pretty familiar with your background in music, but for Josh and most of our listeners out there, they have no clue what you've done. And as I said in the beginning, you're a musician, so that's kind of what we're here to talk about, music and creativity and whatever we come up with. So what types of things in the past have you done, and what are you doing right now musically, and how have you been involved in different music projects?
So starting off in music, I guess my original instrument was mainly like guitar when I was just learning like on my own, like when I was like in middle school. And then I learned the drums just because I kind of wanted to, and I wanted to play drums at church in the worship team at youth group. So like learned to play the drums, started doing drums at worship team, and then
you pretty much taught yourself, didn't you?
Yeah, pretty much completely. I mean, with the help from YouTube, I guess, but
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, YouTube is killer.
Definitely. You can learn a lot on YouTube. So
nice.
Yeah, so started playing drums, and then I joined Without Excuse, which was a Christian like pop punk band, and played drums with them for all of high school and ever since 8th grade, and then after I went to college, I stopped doing that. I also, for a while, and still play with them every once in a while. I'm in like a hard rock metal kind of band, sort of like radio rock type stuff is how I would describe it.
Mm-hmm.
It's
nice.
They're called Unbroken, and yeah, they're based in Wausau. So
sweet.
Every once in a while when I'm in town, I play with them, and that's a lot of fun too. I love still getting to perform because with what I'm doing now with Orchid Whales, I don't actually do live shows since it's just me.
Yeah.
So but it's really fun to still get to do live shows. So now with Orchid Whales, I really like it because in the past I haven't had a lot of like creative liberties with my like musical experience. Like I definitely wrote songs for Without Excuse, but I definitely didn't get to do just whatever I wanted. You know, I'd had to sort of like fit the bill for
you kind of had to fit the Christian pop punk.
Yeah, exactly. It had to be something that was going to be like not marketable isn't the right word, but like something that the kids at youth group were going to like.
Right.
So,
sure.
But now I can just literally do whatever I want, and that's probably my favorite thing about making music on my own. So
definitely,
that's cool.
So I have kind of a technical question, so I'm kind of curious, and this will be a little side tangent, but so teaching yourself from YouTube, so I can imagine there's a lot of people who are out there who like have self-taught them things. Like I'm kind of trying to do that with design and like video stuff. So I'm curious from a music standpoint, because a lot of that stuff is so technical. How did you manage self-assessing as you're kind of starting from square one? This is how you play the drums, to know like, ooh, this is maybe bad technique, or did you just not care? You were just like, I'm learning how I learn. This is how you play. This is what sounds good. This is how I'm supposed to do it.
I mean, it definitely took a while. Like I like have listened back to like the first EP that I recorded with Without Excuse. I was listening to some of the stuff I was playing in the drums, and like it's not noticeable for most people, but I was just kind of like cringing at some of the technique that I was using. Like it took a long time for me to kind of realize how to be a good drummer versus just like knowing how to play the drums.
Sure.
Like My biggest downfall when I first started playing the drums is I learned double kick and I wanted to use it everywhere. So like,
Nice.
like you'd be hard pressed to listen and find like a single kick hit that isn't accompanied by like it's just everywhere. And it's if you're listening for it, it just gets annoying. And so that's one thing that I definitely learned to get better at. You know, after a while, you just kind of you start listening to drummers and you start realizing what you like about what you hear instead of just trying to show off is probably what I was doing at the time. I mean, I was an 8th grader.
It's kind of funny because I remember like going to the first show that you ever played in Without Excuse.
Yeah.
And now you were still like, were you in 8th grade at that point?
Yeah, 8th, maybe
you were like pretty young.
Grade.
So
yeah,
like
I was a little kid.
You hadn't even gotten to the point where you were like banging on the drums yet. Like it was quieter, but like watching you progress as a drummer, it was just insane because now it's just like you're just shredding the drums.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
It's crazy.
Yeah, sweet.
Drums is probably my favorite instrument to play for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you said you still have done live shows. So what's kind of your portfolio of live shows that you've done over your music career so far?
Yeah, I mean, Without Excuse, I don't even know how many shows we played. So many. We probably
played Life Fest a couple times.
Yeah, we played Life Fest a few times, which was awesome. We played Summerfest too. We did a competition called Launchpad, and so we got to play Summerfest, which was very cool. And let's see. Other than that, it was mainly just churches, small youth group events, and stuff like that. With Unbroken this summer, we're actually going to play Rockfest. So
what?
Nice, dude.
No way.
Yep,
that's crazy.
That is insane. Like seeing our name on the bill. I was like,
is
on
your
the
name
posters
actually
and
on
stuff.
the bill?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm looking that up.
It's crazy to see. It's pretty wild. So that's really exciting. I'm trying to think.
Have you guys had any radio play? Like, have they had their songs on radio?
Yeah. So Rock 94.7, like the Wausau radio station, plays us on Sunday mornings, which is it's like their time to play like local or like underground music.
Sure.
So they play
That's
us
cool.
then.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's
Which song do they play?
Oh, they play No Escape is the one that they do.
I like that one. It's a good one.
It's cool.
Sweet.
We have a video for that too, which is awesome.
Yeah. That's
Awesome.
cool.
Dope.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll let him look that up. But so I'm curious, like, I did know that you were in kind of like more rock, kind of that tinge of with bands, but then Orchid Whales is such like its own, like you said, it's very different than that. So how did you have to like train your brain to think of that music differently and as you're crafting it, or was it literally just kind of like, no, I'm just using different sounds, or how did you think through that transition?
It feels like it was definitely a natural progression. Like if you before I started doing Orchid Whales, like between the time that I stopped being in Without Excuse and started doing Orchid Whales, I made a ton of music so some of it's on SoundCloud, but most of it never saw the light of day.
Sure.
But so if you listen to the music that I've made, it kind of follows like almost a natural progression. It never felt like I was making this big switch from like, okay, I make like punk and metal right now, and all of a sudden I'm gonna jump and start doing like this like pop electronic. I don't even know how to describe my music, to be honest, but like it wasn't like a big jump. It just kind of sort of followed a natural progression, I guess.
Sure.
So
awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So I know you personally, and me and you kind of went through the same phases musically up until like I went to college, and we went to like Warped Tour and Life Fest and tons of times together and moshed like I don't know how many, almost died moshing a bear. Almost died moshing a Beartooth a couple times, and what are bands now that you kind of like progressed to, like once you came to college and kind of started making this kind of music? What are bands that inspired you to
so one of my favorite, probably my favorite band right now, if I had to pick one, is a band called Post Animal, which I think I've maybe talked to you about before.
Yeah, I saw you listening to them, so I like checked it out.
Yeah,
they're pretty good.
Yeah, I really
groovy.
like them. Yeah, they I actually saw they were in Madison on Thursday, and
oh really?
Yeah, we went to the I went to the show.
That's cool.
That was really fun. I moshed for the first time in like years.
Nice.
And
there was a mosh at their
show?
Yeah,
they actually get pretty heavy.
Do they?
Yeah,
Dude,
so
that's cool.
I would describe. Do you know the band Tame Impala at all? Have you heard?
I've
of them?
also listened to them because I saw you listening to them. So like sometimes I hop onto your playlist and check it out.
Yeah. So I would describe Post Animal as like, if Tame Impala, I'm stealing this from a review somewhere, but like they're described as like if Tame Impala listened to a ton of Black Sabbath when they were kids.
Oh, interesting.
So it's like,
okay.
it's like psychedelic rock kind of. So it's like,
sure.
It's, I don't know. It's got some like electronic elements, and it's like sort of like groovy sounding, but like they have some like pretty heavy parts in some of their songs too. So it's like kind of sounds like classic like 70s metal a little bit in some like subtle ways. So that's a band that I really like. Trying to think what else. There's a band called Mild High Club that I listen to a lot. It's like they almost remind me of like Beatles era, like late Beatles era music. So that's another band that I listen to a lot.
Cool.
That's cool.
So have you been influenced, like what influences are kind of coming in? Like, do you have like specific bands that when you think of the stuff that you've been doing as Orchid Whales that you're like, man, this is definitely elements from this artist or these artists? Because one of the things that I was listening to your EPs today, and one of the things that like clicked was like, man, this has like a very 70s vibe, but like modern. It's like got a lot of modern sounds, but like the rhythm and some of the grooves and like the bass and the different elements have a very strong, almost like that era, like 70s decade. For sure.
Yeah, so like a lot of the influence that I draw from, like in like recent, maybe like the past like 10 years, there's sort of been like a revival of kind of like psychedelic pop is like how I would describe it, of like music from the 70s like that. And so like bands like Tame Impala, like I said, or like Post Animal, Mild High Club, bands like that, I definitely draw lots of influence from bands like that. It's just sort of that like new polished modern version of some stuff that's been done before. And I would say definitely like drawing influence and just pretty much straight up copying is like my main way that I write music. I pretty much every single song starts off as me being like, well, I've heard this other song and I want to make a song that sounds like that, and I just kind of go from there. And usually it ends up sounding different than what I thought it was going to be, but the main inspiration from the start was just kind of copying someone else. So
cool. So what's your process? Like, what do you start with first when you're taking those elements? Like, do you kind of break down like, okay, this is their drum pattern, this is their bass line, or these are the different things, this is how I might morph it or change it?
Yeah, so normally I'll start with like just one piece of something. I'll say like, okay, there's this really cool drum pattern in this song, so I'm gonna put that exact drum pattern in my song, and then I'll say, okay, but I want the drums to sound like the drums sound in this other song, and then I'll take like the chord progression from some other band or like copy their style of chord progression, and then just sort of put all those elements together, kind of make like a
definitely
sort of like a little stew of different things.
That's cool.
A little music stew.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Dope.
Yeah, I can, because I listen to, like I said, Post Animal and what was the other? Tame Impala. I listened to a couple of their albums at work the other day, and like I could definitely hear like the influences, but I can also hear kind of how you're riffing on it and kind of making your own sound,
exactly,
which is kind of cool. So that's cool. Yeah, I feel like a lot of creativity and creative processes, like we've talked about in the past, comes from like just kind of copying,
stealing.
What has
absolutely,
like stealing from other artists, but then kind of putting your own twist on it as you learn and as you go and stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of how it's always been too. It's just
that's cool.
You draw inspiration from other people,
for sure.
Take their ideas, make them your own. So
yeah, definitely. Out of your 2 EPs, is there any song that is like your favorite that you've made, or that when you walked away from, you were like, man, I'm really proud of how this turned out?
I think my favorite one is it's hard to say. It'd probably be on the new EP. I think is some of my more favorite work. I think the song Riverboats might be my favorite.
That's a good jam.
Yeah, I really like that one.
Yeah,
I think if I had to pick one, that might be my favorite. I really like the way that one turned out. And I'm actually hoping to do a video for that song soon.
Really?
Yeah, my roommate Austin. I don't know if I've ever talked to you about him, but
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a film major, so
nice.
we're gonna try and do a video at our house.
Cool.
Yeah,
dude, that's cool.
Tight.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, hopefully it really happens. I mean, we're all pretty busy, but right now it's just an idea.
For sure. Nice.
When you look back at all of your songs, do you kind of feel happy about what you've created, or do you still have kind of that like, I don't know if this is like, if this is something that's good, or I don't like, do you have a hard time assessing kind of?
Yeah, it definitely, it depends on the day. Like I go back and listen to my own music a lot, which is maybe some people think is weird, but I don't know. I like to just kind of like look back on it and like think about, you know, what I could improve on and stuff like that. And like, there are some days I'll listen and I'll be like, this is so good. I'm so proud of this. Like, holy cow, this sounds awesome. And then there'll be other days that I'll just get really nitpicky and I'll be like, oh my God, I'm even surprised that I released this. It's so bad. Like, yeah. So, I mean, it definitely like fluctuates there. There's lots of things that I wish I would have done better, or that next time I've learned, like, cause I always get better every song I make, I get a little bit better, but overall, I'm definitely happy with it. It just, sometimes I get a little picky on myself.
Yeah. Cool.
That's cool. So do you record most of your songs just in like your apartment? Like, bedroom or?
Yeah, so the most recent EP, I did the majority of it back at my parents' house in Moseny in the basement.
The good old basement.
Yeah, it's a good place.
Jams.
Yeah, it's a good place to do it. It's quiet there, and my parents are cool, and they'll be quiet if I need them to be, which is awesome. And then I finished it up here in Madison at my apartment, which was a little bit harder. It wasn't a great space because I mean there's cars going by, and it's like in the middle of the city, and my walls are so thin, so like you can hear everything outside. So that was a little bit harder space to do it than there, but yeah, I just did it in my bedroom.
Nice, which
That's
is
cool.
crazy because like you can't tell.
Listening to it,
Yeah.
you can't
Yeah.
tell. Yeah.
That's good to know.
The only way that I would know is because I know, like, I personally know that that's what you did.
Yeah.
Like, you can't hear it.
It's been told.
Yeah. It's kind of cool hearing because, like I said before, you helped me write, or not write, but create and record my EP, and just hearing the difference in quality between like what we did with that one, using like that janky pop filter,
Yeah, we made a pop filter. We took
out of a paper plate, and then we taped a Kleenex over it.
just cut the middle out.
That like
Kleenex
Surprisingly, like
Pop
it worked
filter.
because even with my
That's
EP, like
yeah,
you
that's
can't.
amazing.
I mean, you can probably tell because you have the ears for it, but like
Yeah.
I can't tell.
It
that
sounds
was
good, though, yeah.
recorded in a basement with a
Yeah.
and we didn't even have like a mic stand. We just used like a drum stand with like a stick and like the mic
still use
resting
that
on top
sometimes.
of
Dude,
it.
that's amazing.
It felt like super
DIY.
punk. Yeah, like super DIY.
That's
so
tight.
it's cool hearing the differences between like what we did with that and then what you
Yeah.
did with your first EP, and even kind of the evolution of your sound and quality of it with the new
Yeah,
one.
for
So
sure.
it's cool.
Yeah, I
You
think-
should absolutely use that mic stand in your music video, just for like
yeah, the
aesthetic.
the paper plate filter.
That'd be amazing. That'd be absolutely amazing. Cool. I know. So one thing I'm always interested with songwriters is some of the bands, like I know that Phil and I talk about with like Oh Sleeper or and there's a few other metal bands I think that do a lot of like storytelling in their songs. Are there any of your songs that have like kind of a deeper meaning or things that like inspired you to talk about it or talk about something or?
Yeah, so I mean, on the first EP, there's a little bit more of that. On the second one, my technique for all the lyrics was I wrote the song, I wrote the instrumental, then I just hit record and started singing words. Like the first words that came into my head and melodies off of that, and that's literally that entire album.
Dang.
Which is, I know
That's
for some
insane.
people, yeah.
It's infuriating
So
because
some people
really
don't.
good.
Yeah, some people
Yeah.
don't like that because they're like, doesn't this mean something? Like,
Yeah.
what does this all mean? Like,
Sure.
But for that one, it's really just pretty much total nonsense, which
I feel
was
like
fun to
I
do.
think that's
Yeah.
what a lot of the times that's what like Kurt Cobain did. Like
Yeah,
people tried to discern his lyrics, but a lot of times he just like yelled into the mic whatever popped into his
Yeah,
head. That's kind of a cool process.
Yeah, but on the first EP though, like Tea and Honey is probably one of the most
That's
listened to
probably
songs.
my favorite song.
Yeah,
That's everyone's
that song's
favorite.
on my playlist.
Yeah,
so.
that one was just about when I turned 20 last year. I like all of a sudden I realized that I was going to be 30 in 10 years, and it just kind of blew my mind. Like my whole life, I'd always been thinking about like just wanting like the next thing, like, oh, like next year when I graduate high school, it's gonna be so good, or like, oh, I want to get older, like I want to get a job, or like I want like the future to come as soon as possible. But that song was just about me realizing that like I really want to just be content where I am, because life isn't that long, I guess. So that's what that one
Dang,
is
that's-
about, at least.
That's deep. That's cool.
Yeah,
Now
so
I'm having that realization. Gosh, I'm
yeah,
old.
I'm younger than you guys, and I'm already worried about it.
I turned 27 in May, so I'm already like
old
I'm
goat.
already late 20s, so I'm like I'm already over. I'm done.
I've got a few years on
I'm
you.
done for.
Yeah, a little bit behind.
That's
but
cool.
Nice.
So you record mostly everything yourself, right? Like, do you do it all, or do you have other people who
I
help
do
you?
pretty much all of it. Well, I mean, there was on the first album, Sumita sang, obviously.
Yeah.
My girlfriend Sumita sang in the first album. So
Which is super good.
yeah, there's that, and I guess other than that, I think it's all been me. I'm trying to remember. I definitely am always wanting to collab with people and stuff, but so far it's just been me. So
Nice.
Someday we'll have to do more
Yeah,
stuff
for
together.
sure,
I
for
put
sure.
music on the back burner for a while, but I'd
Yeah.
love to do some stuff.
Definitely. So what are like your big dreams that you want to reach in music? Or are you not interested in like doing anything big with music at all? Are you just kind of like, this is my favorite thing to do on the side?
I mean, it's definitely my favorite thing to do on the side, and no matter what I end up doing with life, I'm gonna keep doing it on the side. But I mean, if it could happen that I could make it like my career, I mean, that would be fantastic. I would love to do that. I guess right now what my focus is, I really want to just do live shows with Orchid Whales because, for one thing, it's really hard to get people to listen to your music when they don't have anything to see. Like if people come to a show and you tell them this is what my band is called, check us out, listen to the music on Spotify, like they're more likely to than just trying to like advertise online and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm trying to do live shows, and I'm thinking about maybe just doing it solo, just like with tracks, and I'll play guitar and piano and just kind of do it solo. But I also have a friend who's a drummer, so I'm hoping to get him in on it. Right now, the main problem is just I have no practice space, so it's hard to do live shows. But yeah, my short-term goals is definitely to start doing live shows, start getting around Madison and playing. And
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, dude, you should check out. I know the Memorial Union has people all the time.
Yeah, I found the application for that, so I'm definitely gonna apply for that once I can
do it.
Get my stuff worked out.
They've put out some characters out there.
Yeah,
so you
don't even have to be good.
Yeah, it's like you'll do just fine. Yep, for sure.
That's cool. So are you working on anything new right now that you feel comfortable divulging?
I mean, I've always got songs. There's a lot of songs that like didn't make the cut on the last albums that I still think are really good and I want to do something with. But right now, I'm not doing a whole lot. I just have a few songs that aren't much yet, but I'm trying to get Josh's music done, which I'm working on. Yeah, I've been really slow on that, but
no, it's all good.
Yeah, that's probably, I'll try to get that done before I start working on my own stuff. But I mean, I'm always working on music though, like whenever I can. So
that's cool.
Yeah, when I got the message when you texted me and you were like, "Hey, I got those like tracks," but I was literally walking through Michael's with my wife, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I got them!" So I'm like downloading them. I'm like jamming, walking through Michael's. I'm like, "This is so sick!" Like I had this stupid grin on my face. She's like, "What's wrong with you?" Like, so dude, I'm stoked.
Sweet, I'm glad you like them.
Yeah, I am really, really curious, especially because I literally just like shotgunned you like. All right, here's like some things that, you know, I'm like kind of interested in getting like a vibe for, and this is kind of my theme or whatever. And I know we have a bunch of questions like, what do you do first and how's your structure? But as someone who is not musically talented, what is it like to work from reference like that and to like specifically hear like, oh, that's this kind of drum and like that's this kind of horn and like this kind of thing, and like how do you do that and mix it and know when it's right or when it's the right sound?
Yeah, well, so I mean, this was the first time I've ever done something like this where someone gives me references and like tries to give me a general idea of what they want, and then I just sort of make it. So
that's insane.
I really had no idea if I was going to be even close to what you wanted. I was like,
sure.
I sure hope that this is what he's thinking in his head,
dude,
because
beyond.
Okay, that's really great to hear. Yeah, I mean, like I guess I have a limited supply of stuff I can work with. Like I have the software that I use has a lot of built-in like synths and sounds and stuff like that, but it's pretty minimal. So I mean, I really just kind of start playing around and looking for things that sound like the samples that you gave me, and just try and create something that I hope is cool. And I mean, yeah, I don't know, maybe I just got lucky that it turned out so good, but
dude, I feel like that's crerecreativity in general. Is you're just like, well, we'll start walking.
Yeah, exactly.
See what happens.
But yeah, so
awesome.
That's cool.
It was really fun to do that though. I had a lot of fun.
Cool.
Working on something.
Was there any of them that was like more difficult to craft than the others? Because I think the fourth one is like more like a metal like punk track, and that I was like, damn, this man knows. And some of the other ones are kind of almost like Middle Eastern. I kind of sent you some like Middle Eastern references and stuff, and those were awesome of just like the vibe you hit, but they're so different. And so just that you could be able to like pull the references from everything and be like, yeah, this is how it sounds and how that goes. But so is there any that were more difficult to craft or that you found were trickier?
Yeah, I mean, surprisingly, I think that last metal track was the hardest one to get going on. Yeah, I mean, I haven't made like metal music like that in like a while. So, and also I haven't like ever recorded. I mean, well, that's not true. I've recorded rock and metal and stuff like that, but I've never like, I've had less experience with that.
Sure.
So that one was really tough just because I don't know, like I think it turned out good, and I think I like how it turned out, but I like technically I really struggled with getting the guitar to sound like how I wanted to, and I still feel like it doesn't sound like how I wanted to, but that was probably the hardest one, I guess. I don't know, some of the other ones sort of just flowed really well. I can't remember which one it was, but it's the one that had the sort of like tribal drums, like
that one
for some reason just like just like flowed so well. I was like, it just kind of all came to me and all came together really well. And I was like, dang, this is an awesome song.
It sounded, man, the vibe on those. I'm super stoked to start writing for those.
That's good.
So
definitely. It's amazing what you produced, especially for being your first time from like working from reference. Like, because I, as a person who tries to write music, like I always have an idea of like the sound that I want to create, but I just don't have like the technical know-how of how to do things. But we could probably just throw you any idea and you'd just like come up with something. Like even the song at the beginning of this, I was like, hey, can you just write us like some like punky track that would go good at the beginning of a podcast? And like we're just like
an hour later.
I'm like, I was like, what the heck?
And we've been using it for ever since.
And to you it probably just seems like a simple thing, but for us we're just like, whoa, like how do you do that?
It's a hard thing to like, if you have an idea in your head, to try and get someone else to like make that idea happen. Like it can be challenging, but I'm glad that
cool
I'm doing well at it so far.
We're just here to like boost your ego so you actually get out there and
I'm gonna be beaming when I get here. Just like,
do you see yourself doing any more stuff like that, like trying to work with other people and do like recording things on the side? Or?
I would love to. I mean, I've thought about like putting myself out there and saying like, hey, like if you're a band or whatever, a solo musician who wants like recordings done, just like hit me up and I like could do it. But I don't know, I think that I'm a little bit scared to branch outside of like people I know doing that, because I don't want to like tell people that I'm going to give them a really good product and it's not quite what they want, because I mean, I don't know that much about music production. I'm self-taught music production and there's a lot to know about it, so it's a little bit scary to kind of like put yourself out there and have people expect like a really shiny product, because people want the best and I don't have all the best equipment, so but I mean I definitely would love to do it.
I feel like there's probably people in Madison who are just like people like me who are just like writing random songs like, and they want to get them recorded, but they don't want to spend like hundreds of dollars getting them professionally recorded because they just want like a demo or something. I bet you there's people like that.
You're probably right.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, honestly, dude, you have such a portfolio to point to that I think the thing that I've been learning as I've been studying just like marketing and a lot of catering to your audience is if they know what you're going to give them. I mean, if you had something where you like sneakily made this one magic track and you're kind of telling everyone like,
I can do this all the time.
I can do this all the time. Like, that might be bad. But if you're like, hey, no, this is like my vibe. This is, I wrote and did all this stuff. Like that's the niche that you need. And people who are in that, they're going to be like, they're going to be on it. But
I guess so.
Yeah,
do it.
I feel like you just throw up my EP, your two things. Once his songs are done, like boom, you got like a decent spread to get some random dude who just wants like
just wants the songs made.
That's cool
for sure. Sweet,
nice. Do you ever see yourself doing anything else personally, music wise, or is Orchid Whales kind of your direction right now?
I don't know. I've thought about like. There's a few like bands that I've seen that are like we're searching for drummers, like local Madison bands, and I thought about auditioning for a few of them just because like I felt like getting into the live music scene in Madison first and then trying to like bring Orchid Whales into that might be a little bit easier. I can like build those connections and stuff. So I thought about maybe doing that. But I don't know. I haven't gone through with it yet. I'm not really sure. Like I definitely am really wanting to be like at the helm of a band and like being like the main creative control of the music.
Director,
because I've really never been that as like a drummer in all these bands. Like I pretty much, people will write songs and say like drum to this, and I do, and it's so much fun, but like I really want to be like in charge of the sound of a band. And so I'm not sure if I'm gonna join a band, or if I'm gonna try to join a band as a drummer, but it's something I've been thinking about.
Definitely.
So
as you're thinking of Orchid Whales like being alive, like moving into that live, you said kind of almost doing a 2-piece might be one of the ways that you move. What would be kind of like your dream, I don't know, like your dream setting that you would do with that? Because I think when you said that just elicited like 21 Pilots kind of thing, and so just kind of like their aesthetic.
I think like it could definitely work with something like that where it's just like me playing guitar, piano, singing, and a drummer, and then tracks. Like that could be really cool. That could definitely work. But I also think that I would like to move towards like a more full band, because like there are some really, really cool guitar parts that I've written that I really want like a really good guitar player to play. And I could record the parts and I could play them, but that's because I could take as many tries as I needed to get it exactly right. And I'm not really the greatest guitar player, especially if I have to sing at the same time. So like it would be really cool to have someone just playing guitar who's just crazy good, and someone who's just playing bass and is really good at that too. Because I mean, I feel like that is a little bit more interesting to watch than just, you know, two people up on a stage with track playing, you know.
Definitely.
So yeah, I think that ideally I would want to move towards like a 4 or 5 piece band if I could.
Cool.
Just got to find the
Awesome.
people, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that'd be sick. Especially if you could get like a dope guitarist to like play on there.
Yeah.
Even like, do you think you'd have like, if you could find the people, do you think you'd write something with like other people?
Oh,
and, like,
yeah, definitely.
Because then you could just expand your sound.
Exactly.
Probably.
Yeah. Like it would be really cool to, I mean, because someone who's really good at playing guitar can write a lot better than someone like me who was self-taught guitar and isn't really, like really great at it. Like one of the techniques that I'll do when I'm like writing a song is like, I did this a few times when I wanted like a chord progression that was like sort of like jazzy sounding. I would literally just Google search jazz chord progression and then like find one that sounded good to me, you know, and then use that. And if I had someone who plays guitar well and who knows like
you
guitar
could just say,
theory,
hey, play me a dope jazz.
yeah,
like,
and they have like a huge arsenal of stuff that they can bring to the table. And so I mean it would be really cool to work with a band like that too. So,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, I'd come watch you. That'd be sick.
I'll let you know if it ever happens.
I feel like Madison has like music spaces like that you can like check out somehow. I don't know if you have to be in music school or something, but if you ever wanted a space, I feel
I
I know.
so.
You should look. I should talk to Mondo actually, because I know he did radio for a while, and I think there's a studio where Court. It's across from the street from like Celery, and it's where like Vilas is. It's like that big building. I think that's where the student radio center is.
Yeah, okay.
And so I think they have some music recording stuff in there that you can pay for. But I think if you're in a certain org or you have like some connections, you can just like get in for free
and
to
just
like
use the space. Yeah.
And like use the space. So
yeah, that would be really cool.
yeah, so I will reach out to one of my friends. He's doing DJing like everywhere now. But
yeah, he was in like South America or something.
he was like the man's going everywhere, but he's going places. But my friend, he was there and he did some music stuff there, and he had his own radio show while he was there, so he might know how to access some of that stuff. So
that'd be awesome. Yeah, definitely let me know about that.
I will
That
definitely
sounds
let you know
cool.
about that. So I know another question I have is and specifically because I have a younger cousin who is very into like music, and he's like got a license for like FL Studio, and he's made some like fun like tracks and stuff that he's just kind of concocted. So for people who are interested in diving into learning how to play music or like create music and stuff like that, but maybe have no starting point, or like kind of like you were saying, like they're starting from scratch, kind of want to self-teach, you know, just use, you know, college YouTube and do that. What would be the not proper steps, but what would be like the recommended steps that you would suggest for them to like really build their craft, and like what are the basics, and once they've gotten that, like where would they go forward?
I mean, I think that that one thing that's pretty, I guess, like underrated when people think about like what it takes to like be able to produce really good music, like I think that knowing how to play piano is actually super important. Like you don't have to be good at piano, like I'm not good at piano, but like just like understanding how to write music and understand how songs are structured, I think really helps. And then I mean, yeah, it's pretty easy to get started making music, like especially like electronic music. Like I know a lot of people who don't really know anything about music, but like they've got some sort of software, like they have maybe like Ableton or something like that, and they can make like a really cool sounding song, you know. So I mean, yeah, it's really just a matter of just starting somewhere, and I think learning an instrument is really important too.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of underrated because people just like, I know a lot of people who like they just want to make like beats and stuff like that, and they're just like, yeah, man, I'm gonna get this software and I'm gonna like make some beats and it can be so cool. But like if you really learn music
that was
first,
me.
yeah,
That was us.
I still have those janky beats. I
yeah,
made.
they probably sound cool. I'm not saying that you can't make cool
don't.
stuff.
We probably did at the time.
Got like a horn. Like every hip hop song from the 2009.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, definitely. Cool. No, I know, like, that's one of the things that I've heard is more and more as I've realized about myself, I've tried way too hard to, like, dive in farther down the line in the process. And then I realized, like, holy frick, this is way too hard.
Yeah.
To, like, backtrack. So that's very interesting to hear. So, what do you do when you're looking at, like, song structure? Because I know that that's something that has a lot of stuff kind of jam-packed into it, because you kind of have to know, like, how are chords, like you're saying, how are chords laid out, like what are melodies and stuff like that. I mean, there's very different patterns in like a metal song versus a pop song. Then there's people who like mesh them, and there's like all this stuff. So what did you do to like learn how to deconstruct a song into its parts and the different things?
I mean, I guess like I'm pretty lucky because I started off with music really at a really young age. Like I started taking piano lessons when I was like in 2nd grade or something like that. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it was just a matter of first learning how to play piano and then doing a lot of singing along to songs, and then eventually learning how to like play songs and do covers of songs. I feel like that really helped me learn a lot about especially like chord structure and stuff like that. And then, I mean, then in high school, like I took a music theory class, which really helps with that too. And yeah, then also I guess I got a lot of experience like being in the studio and like watching an engineer do stuff when I was in high school, because I recorded with Without Excuse. So yeah, that helped a lot too, is like seeing it in action, I guess.
So just kind of getting in it, and like you can't like kind of learn it from the sidelines. You kind of gotta you can learn from the sidelines. I don't think you have to necessarily like, but yeah, it definitely helped me a lot to just be like surrounded by it. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I've just been surrounded by music my entire life, and it's all just kind of like gotten ingrained in my brain, you know. Nice.
And doing like high school band and playing trumpet and stuff like that. Like all that is sort of just kind of stacked upon itself, and like it's gotten me to a point where like I actually know quite a bit about a lot of that stuff. So
sweet.
Yeah, I feel like song structure is one of those things that's so confusing, because like you hear a song and you're like, dang, the song is like super good, or it hits you like a certain way emotionally, and like it's hard to deconstruct why that happened. And if you try, and I've noticed when I try and write songs, I like, oh, I really like the song, I'm going to do the exact same thing they did and try and write my own song, and it doesn't work. And I think there's like a certain mysticism about it. Like you kind of like you said, like when you're immersed in it enough and you do enough copying and like rewriting and stuff, and like going to shows and being in band and stuff, you kind of like just get like almost a rhythm for like what chords transitioning to what chords work, and like get you with that like gut punch feel to it in some ways.
Yeah, true.
It's interesting. Music is interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's really weird to think about. Like you mentioned like you hear a certain song, or like you hear these chord progressions and it makes you feel a certain way. But like it's just really weird how that happens. You know what I mean? Like why does that make me feel like this?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And I don't have an answer. It's kind of a mystery. I feel like that's what makes music so cool.
Definitely.
Awesome.
So you're pretty much self-taught with like music recording and stuff. Do you just use YouTube for that as well? Like when you have a question, you kind of search online, or how did you figure out how to do that?
You know, I guess I haven't done a lot of like research about music production online, surprisingly. I sort of feel like I've just like I've had the same software for a long time, and I've sort of just like used it so much that I've just kind of learned it almost is like cheats to getting my songs to sound good. Like I don't think I use a technique that like a real producer would use. I've just kind of like,
you figured out how to use the software to get what you want, basically.
I've sort of, and I think that because of that, there's probably a lot of things that a real music producer would listen to my music and say like, this is bad, you shouldn't have done this way, and stuff like that. But to the untrained ear, which I consider my ear untrained to an extent about music production, because I haven't had the education or anything like that. But I don't know. I just sort of started to experiment and figured out after a while what things sounded better than others, and just kind of trying to emulate what I hear in other songs, and then hope for the best, kind of.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Dope.
That's cool.
A lot of trial and error, definitely.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cool. How did you, because you seem like a very positive person. Like I know like you, that's just your vibe. And so were there any points or like low points where you're like, man, I have no idea, like kind of that imposter syndrome? I don't know if you've heard that before, where it's kind of like, I don't belong. I don't actually like,
I don't know
how to make music. I shouldn't be doing this. Have you ever had any seasons like that? And like, what did you do to get over those feelings?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely haven't gotten over those feelings entirely, I would say. Like I still a lot of the time am really worried about like how my music sounds, and like that like people are going to hear it and be like, this just was made unprofessionally, like you know. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know if I've gotten it over yet. I think that it's still something that I struggle with a lot of the time, is just feeling like it isn't quite up to par, you know?
Sure.
So
yeah, so I agree. I feel like that happens a lot where I'm still like in it. I don't know if we ever conquer it as creatives. Like I don't know if that ever goes away. Yep. Is there something that you do, or like a pattern of thought that you try to put yourself in to like mitigate it a little bit, or like obviously not like solve it, but just kind of help? Or are you just like, I feel like crap, but I'm just gonna be punching on these keys anyway?
I mean, yeah, I kind of think that the time that I feel the best about my music is while I'm doing it. So like while I'm making music and while I'm like really like into it is when I'm feeling the best about how it all sounds, I would say. So like, you know, if I'm not happy with how something turned out, even if I already put it out there and like the deed is done, like definitely makes me feel better to just get back at it and, you know, this time I'm gonna try and fix that one little problem. Like maybe there's 100 other problems that I'm not going to be able to fix, but like right now I'm fixing this one thing, and every time I do that, you know, it's going to get a little bit better. So
got it. No, that's cool. So almost like not having the fear of like, oh, I made this thing and there's these issues, and so I'm going to give up because I couldn't do that thing right away. But it's like, all right, well, round 2, we're going to fix this little thing. Round 3, we're going to fix this little thing. And then by round 20, you're like, dang, I've already progressed.
Yeah, I've fixed 20 things.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, so that definitely makes me feel better just to fix it one little thing at a time. Yeah.
Nice. That's really good advice. Because I feel like I don't know what you feel like in kind of the creative sphere now, but I feel like that's one of the deciding factors of people continuing with their passion in that sphere is, am I willing to realize that like, oh, my thing sucks, but I'm going to keep doing it. Yeah. And I'm going to get better, and I'm going to criticize it and get that better and like keep going. Like, do you find that a lot of your peers are as like self-critical or like wanting to progress, or are they just kind of happy doing their own thing, and if it's good, it's good, it's
I mean,
not?
like, I guess to be honest, like I don't really have a lot of like close friends that are like creatives or who like make music or things like that. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't have like a big sphere of influence in that sort of field. I kind of just do it all by myself a little bit. Yeah, I don't know.
Cool. No, it's all good. Do you have any other questions, Phil? Otherwise, we still have a little bit of time, but I'm curious, as like from a music side, what are, like, in your head, the greatest bands of all time that every human being should listen to?
Oh man.
And then what are the absolute scum of the earth, worst bands that no one should ever even
little mini tilt brigade at the
exactly.
end.
Yeah.
Tilt.
See, best bands in the universe is just such a hard question to answer, because like
it's just popped up for make it more interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
So stuff that you like, you will always listen to, you will always have a taste or a desire for.
Oh geez, like it's so hard because like there's obviously the bands that I love right now and that I'm so into right now, but like to say they're the best bands in the universe, the best bands that ever will be, like it's pretty hard.
So
it's a pretty hard question to answer.
Maybe we can change it to like, what about them is resonating with you, like whether it's the sound or the message, or like what are the pieces of these bands that you're really into now that you're really digging?
Oh man, I don't know. This is
a
toughie. No, it's okay. Oh geez, I guess like I love when bands do things different, when do things in a way that I haven't heard before. I don't know. Gosh.
Or even to contextualize it, are there any bands that like, no matter what time of your life it'll be, like you can see yourself always kind of having a place for them in your life, sort of?
I think that I definitely think that like the music that I grew up with, like the Warped Tour scene, like stuff like that, like I definitely feel like that kind of music is sort of like going out of style a little bit now.
Oh yeah.
And people kind of like to talk down about it a little bit, but I think that I will always love that kind of music. Like even if I don't listen to it all the time, like A Day to Remember, like bands like that, like just bands that I loved so much when I was in middle school and high school. Like I think I'm always gonna be able to get down to that for sure. Like maybe they're not the best bands in the universe, but like they'll always will have like a special place in my heart for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, I feel the same. If I'm having like an angsty day and like I like the Wonder Years, man, I just throw that on and like
absolutely,
and I'm back to that place.
Oh, like, you know what? Actually, to answer your question, I think that the Wonder Years / Aaron West and the Roaring Twenties might be my favorite band of all time. Dang. Might have to say they're the greatest.
Nice.
Which is interesting because, you know, I don't really draw like any influence from them with my music, but like I just absolutely love his storytelling style and his voice. It's
interesting because like thinking about, I've been listening to a lot of like folk Americana, like country-ish type stuff, like storytelling type songs, and thinking about what I loved about the Wonder Years in those days, and then Aaron West was like, it was like pop punk music, and it was like that Warped Tour pop punk sound at the time, but like he was almost like doing the same sort of like storytelling that like these like folk
Yeah.
or like Americana or whatever you want to classify it as.
Yeah,
like,
no,
doing.
definitely.
But in like an angsty kind of like way that resonates with like that era of
Sure.
people.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And it's kind of interesting to think about. And I mean, that's really why I love them, because I love lyrics and vocal melodies and stuff. But
Definitely. Sweet. So worst bands of all time.
Oh, jeez.
Or bands that you're like, ugh, you listen to them.
You know, like I'm not super picky. Like there's definitely
Find the value.
Yeah, there's definitely music that I don't like and that I wouldn't listen to. But like, even stuff that I've sworn that I hate, like I can if I listen to it at the right time, sometimes I'm like, you know what, maybe this isn't so bad.
Sure.
Like oh yeah, I don't know. Like I always say I hate country. Like not like all country, but like modern like radio country kind of
Sure.
stuff. I've always said that I hate. But I mean, even that sometimes I can find some sort of value in it, I guess. Yeah, but worst bands of all time. Who's just like so bad? Oh yeah, I don't know.
I've been there's this YouTube channel I follow called punk rock. It's like punk rock NBA, and he is always jabbing at like the new metal scene and stuff like that. So
I didn't realize new metal was so hated.
I didn't either. I love new metal.
I mean,
That's
other than like Korn and Slipknot, like people hate new metal.
And it's like it's super funny.
And
to
I mean,
me.
I don't listen to like Mudvayne and all those bands, but like yeah.
So, but he's always poking at that. So I was like, of course, I was like, his running joke is like Limp Bizkit. He's always taking shots at like Limp Bizkit, and he's like, it's just like trashy hip hop beats, and they knew how to play drums and guitar, and they just like threw it all together.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, I don't know. I don't hate new metal. I think that it's good. Like, it might not be the most technically exciting, like you said. Like, it might just be kind of thrown together. But like, I don't know. I think that secretly deep down, even the people who say they hate new metal like it at least
in
a
certain
little bit.
instance they could get down with
Yeah,
it,
like,
I feel like
there was this do you know what the Hard Times is? It's like a satire news thing that does like stuff like punk and metal kind of stuff.
Oh, I have heard of that.
Yeah, it's really funny. It's funny stuff. But there was like this article that was like local man listens to like Last Resort by Papa Roach for the 40th time, ironically. Like, he's like, it's just so bad. But like can't stop listening to it, you know?
Yeah,
like,
sure. No, that's funny. I dig that.
Yeah.
New Papa Roach has been interesting. They've been.
I feel like in my as I've gotten older, like I've become more soft to pop music in some sense, in the sense that like I don't hate it anymore. Like I used to vehemently just like hate pop music, and for some reason there's this trend now of bands becoming pop bands.
Yeah.
Well,
like Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah, dude. Like, have you heard Bring Me the Horizon's new track? That's just like
how new?
Yeah, it's like
they just
this
released
year.
it like
No,
last
I don't think so. Then.
Yeah, it's like a straight up pop song,
Yeah.
like hardcore.
And then like
it's very strange.
Papa Roach kind of did that. Like some of the tracks are heavier, some of them are more poppy.
Yeah,
Linkin Park did that.
Well, Linkin Park, it's interesting. Shinoda, I listened to an interview where he was talking about how like they actually, and naturally it makes sense, like because of their production cycle, they were always in a music trend like 4 years before it happened, and then as soon as they released their album, like it would be in the midst of like everything sounding like that, and then everyone's like, you just started copying everything else, and he's like, dudes, we've been making this for like the last 4 years, like everyone just kind of happened to swing this way.
Bad luck.
Like, that's the thing. But no, it's interesting, man.
Yeah,
dude,
I've just
can't
noticed
do
a lot
pop
of
music. I can't do it.
A lot of like, because even like Fall Out Boy, for example, like they released Save Rock and Roll like my junior year, and the album was decent. Like it was good actually, because like it was pop music, but it had like this rocky like vibe to it, where you're like, it still had like that old school like rock vibe to it. But then like I listened to the next two albums, and all of a sudden it's just like this hard shift to like modern pop music, and I'm like, I can appreciate a band like evolving their sound, because like that's just what you have to do. But it seems like sometimes people are just like making this drastic shift, and I'm like, what is going on in the back room there?
Yeah. You had said this, Isaac, and I kind of wanted to come back to it. So you said that the metal, pop, punk scene is kind of like dying, like the Warped Tour, and not necessarily like dying, but it's kind of diminishing. So I'm really curious, because I've kind of been feeling the same thing, and I'm curious, like from your vision, why that music is not as appealing, or like why it's not as I feel like the underground like punk metal just like isn't as, I don't know, there's like something about it that's like lost a little bit of its
I feel like rock
momentum.
music in
Yeah, I don't
general
know.
has kind of like fallen out of favor with the mainstream.
Yeah, I guess it's hard to say like why that's happening. I mean, I think we can all say that it definitely is, that it's clear that's going on, but it's really hard to say like why the trend is sort of going in that way. Yeah, I don't know. I think that people love to like be listening to music that they feel like not everyone else is listening to. I feel like that like everyone always wants,
especially the Warped Tour scene.
Yeah, I think like you always want to be like, oh, like this is my music, and like other people don't like listen to this kind of music, you know. So like that's what like metal and punk and like the Warped Tour scene was like through the 2000s and stuff, was like no one's listening to this like screaming music, and that's so heavy, like, and so like I feel cool that I'm listening to something that other people aren't. But then I think that it kind of rose in popularity and kept rising. Then at a certain point, you know, when it gets too big, people hop off the train because they don't want to be on like what's mainstream. So I kind of think that is a little bit of why that goes on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, and I think the interesting thing too, when you look at a lot of the bands, like they're like 30 years old. Like you like, because even like the Wonder Years, like they've changed their sound to like more of a like a harder indie rock almost sort of sound. It's not like the angsty like whiny pop punk anymore. And it's like,
I love it though. I love the new Wonder Years.
It's good.
I love it a lot.
And so like I feel like the core people who were kind of like the front runners of the Warped Tour scene like basically grew up and like stopped wanting to be as like, there's a difference between like angst and then expressing like general distrust or like frustration with the way the world is.
Yeah.
But like the Wonder Years earlier albums are like just pure like angst about like different things, and now their new stuff is more like, some of them are about social issues and some of them are about like kind of like, instead of being focusing on like the inside, like kind of out
true,
going outside. And I think a lot of that music kind of evolved because the people like grew up. And I think the bands that came afterwards, especially from my perspective in the Warped Tour scene, like it just became so many carbon copies. Like every new band I got so sick of it after a while. I'm like, every band just sounds like the same band. Like, and then you get one guy who has like a really good voice and he can sing pop punk really well, but like it kind of just like oversaturated almost.
No, like that makes sense.
And the metalcore just became so formulaic. Like there was like maybe two bands I could listen to towards the end where it was like, this is like good, and everything else was just like screaming verse, singing chorus, screaming verse, singing chorus, intense breakdown. Like, and it became so formulaic, and I feel like that was maybe the downfall a little bit, was growing up and then like not really evolving. Yeah, and I think the bands that do evolve, like Bring Me the Horizon, like they were always at the forefront of whatever. And you could argue whether or not they sold out or whatever, but like they're clearly successful, so like they did something right in a sense. And I think people just grew up, and like the younger crowd likes a different kind of music now, I feel like.
Well, it's weird because I feel also too that, I don't know what you guys think of this, but I feel like even 15 years ago, you know, like early 2000s, there just wasn't that much music out there. Like there kind of was like the big circulation but like now you have like SoundCloud, you have Spotify, you have iTunes, you have like 15 different platforms that there's like indie people throwing their stuff up. And so there's like the pool of, kind of like you were saying, Isaac, like the pool of abstract artists that people can pull from is now so big that it's like you can just kind of like find your thing and be like, oh, I don't have to ever worry about this person ever like becoming so mainstream or whatever. And not because they're not good, but just, you know, you have all these other artists out there who are doing their own thing. And then you have like, I feel like pop dictates a lot of what is successful in other genres, just because you think of like, you know, Post Malone completely changed hip hop, like even, which is weird because
he's not really a rapper.
But like all of a sudden now everyone is kind of doing his sound or like a variation in his sound. But like I was listening to Travis Scott actually a couple weeks ago, but then he's like doing his own thing, and there's almost stuff in his sound that I'm like, there's almost like some Korn vibes in this, where, you know, just like some
I don't know what you mean. It's like sort of like that dark sort of,
it's got like this dark like bass to it, and it's kind of like,
I like Travis Scott's new album. It's pretty cool.
What is Sicko Mode. I'm like, I mean,
Yeah.
that's like
Is
his
that the
big
one with
jam,
Drake on
but
it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Which I still can't stand Drake, but like,
Dude, I love Drake.
oh, get out of here! Stop with that. But
I love the emotional
emotional rapper. I love my
Yeah.
mom. But no, that's dope. Yeah, no, it's always interesting to me how like socially that affects music, and I'm curious if there's gonna be another genre that's gonna pop up that's gonna fill, because I feel like the whole metal was the genre for the disenfranchised of like teens and angry young adults and stuff, but now they have like Twitter and Facebook, and
and I feel
so
like hip hop
everyone
has taken that.
Yeah, now
like-
hip-hop
like
kinda has
young,
that too,
Young
yeah.
people are like hip hop kind of
right,
and maybe indie folk has kind of become big with
Yeah,
like Mumford
I think
and
so.
Sons and stuff
That's
kind
true.
of jumping to the forefront, and then a lot of like quote unquote hipster bands kind of like taking traction
becoming
maybe.
big. Yeah.
But
I wonder if like 90s will ever come back, if boy bands will be big again.
yeah, buddy,
That would be
Yeah.
so
Dude,
funny.
Backstreet Boys are still making music.
I know,
Like,
and
they
they're
just
still
released
doing
an album.
tours. Yeah,
That's insane. I did
Yeah.
not know that.
yeah, and it's ridiculous. One of my
Yeah.
coworkers
Wow.
said his wife got tickets to go see Backstreet Boys, and they were like stupid expensive. I was like,
That's
good
hilarious.
lord.
I honestly did not know they were
That's
still making
bananas.
music.
Yeah, dude.
Let alone selling out like tours.
right,
With expensive
Yeah.
tickets.
exactly.
That's
Wow.
hilarious.
I think it's just the nostalgia.
Yeah. I
People
wonder
are
what
like,
I wonder what like the audience is like at a Backstreet Boys show
oh, dude,
today.
could
Is
you
it, like-
imagine?
Honestly,
Yeah.
it would be hilarious if it was just all old dudes.
You know, it probably is.
Like
That's
Backstreet Boys was my jam back in the day.
Oh my
Like I'd
goodness.
jam out to some of
that's
their
good,
songs.
That's good
like,
stuff.
I want it that way.
They're like old dudes and their wives. Like it's a bunch of like 40-year-olds.
Yeah,
They're
probably.
like, he made me come here.
Yeah. I'm like, well, at least it's Justin. And
That's
it's like, but
hilarious.
Justin's not even here. So no, that's funny.
Yeah.
Justin was in sync. Wrong band. They all blend together. I don't even.
kind of
all
the same
It's
thing.
all the same
Same
thing,
thing.
kind of. Yeah. That's funny.
2020 is going to be the year of the boy band. I'm calling it right now.
2020. I mean, the
Boy
boy
bands are
band
gonna
kind
come
of
back.
already had its resurgence with
Did it?
New
Yeah.
Direction and
Oh, you're right. You're right.
One Direction.
One Direction.
New Direction.
And then the other like pop punky boy band,
Oh, what were they called?
Summer something. 5 Seconds of Summer.
Yeah.
Oh,
They were like
gosh.
kind of a pop punk resurgence. They had some good songs, I thought.
Yeah,
like,
no,
that
I-
were kind
I-
of in the vein of early pop punk, like Blink style. But yeah, all that stuff kind of just died off because they all
Yeah.
like broke up or something.
Yeah, I
don't
can't.
know.
I couldn't even name like one boy band that's like at it today.
Yeah.
You know, I think that.
I think they kind
There's
of
a
died
lot of
again.
Japan or
True,
or
yeah.
South Korea,
Like K-pop.
Korea has it. Yeah,
K-pop
that a
is
lot,
yeah.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Oof. They're just they know their market and they are just raking it.
They're hitting it
in.
hard, yeah.
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 That's
So, yeah.
that's the name of the game.
I'll be curious to see what the next resurgence is.
Yep.
I'm always looking at like the underground stuff, not necessarily underground, quote unquote, but like not like the mainstream stuff
Yep.
because I just can't
Yeah.
stand like whatever's popular. But
Yeah.
I'm always looking for new stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm always jamming old stuff too, like Blink and whatnot. But I'm always looking for
Yeah.
new like stuff that has cool lyrics or whatever. But
Yeah, and even just who's going to be the new band to kind of come up and like I've been on a huge, I don't know if you've listened to like a Perfect Circle or Tool or
Yeah,
like
a little bit.
Maynard's Keenan, but they're supposed to have a new album out this year.
Okay.
And I think it's like the first Tool album in like 10 years or something crazy like
Wow.
that. So it's been a long time. But it's just crazy to think of like how huge those bands still are. And people are literally like, where is it? Like,
Yeah.
where is your music? And so, but I feel like currently there's not a new band that's kind of coming up as like, hey, have you heard these new kids? Like, they're going to be the new thing, or like they're going to be, you know, because at one point, like Disturbed was just doing shows around Chicago and they were just some
Yep.
band with like this, you know, dude who eventually had like crazy piercings and was bald, you know, like that's what they were,
Yep.
you know, but so I'm always curious. I mean, Five Finger, crying out loud, like Ivan Moody was painting himself with pig's blood and red paint.
Oh, geez.
At shows and
Oh,
Moto
metal-
Grader, the
metal
Moto
bands are
Grader
intense.
days. Yeah, man.
yeah, I feel like there's probably some bands out there that we don't even know about that are gonna hit it big
We'll
or
have to
something.
Google their
We'll have to
eyes,
Google it next time.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes out. So if you're
Yeah.
if you're on the pulse and you're like, there's these cats out of local Madison, I think
I think they're gonna be the next thing.
they're gonna be the next thing. I like
It'd
it.
be interesting to see if like the psychedelic rock, like
Yeah.
if that became like a bigger thing.
Yeah, I mean,
Go
I
back
think
Maybe it
it's-
is
70s.
bigger than I admit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I can't
I think
say
it's
for sure, but
I think it's definitely big in like the indie scene. It's I mean, I almost feel like it's just kind of a phase. To be honest, I think it's
Yeah.
probably gonna come and go, but like
kind of like
It's fun for
almost
right
like
now,
a
yeah.
60s and 70s like psychedelic nostalgia.
Yeah.
in some way.
Yeah,
I feel like
true.
nostalgia informs music so much.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
Like all these bands are coming back,
Absolutely.
like Blink and whatnot, and like everybody's just like, I like nostalgia, but sometimes you just want something new. But
yeah, true.
Yeah, I hear that. Definitely. Cool.
Cool.
We're hitting that hour mark, so we'll wrap it up. So usually we just kind of shotgun out a bunch of information. So you can check out our episodes on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, YouTube, and Spotify. Isaac, where can they find your music, or do you have any social media stuff? that people
Yeah,
can follow?
so I guess the only social media I have is Facebook, facebook.com/Orchid Whales. I guess
Nice.
orchid like the flower, whales like the sea mammal.
Like the sea mammal.
Yeah, and I'm on Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff, Apple Music. I think even the Amazon one. So yeah,
Nice.
Cool.
yeah.
Dope. You can check out Phil and I on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. The Facebook is at popculturepunks. Twitter, our handle for the show is at popculturepunks. Our individuals are JK in Pop Culture, and I am Phil Sorensen. You already said that one, right? I said that. I'm looking at the doc. Never mind. We also have my brain's. I'm getting that late night brain. I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
7 p.m. on a
7 p.m.
Oh wow.
Gotta go to work
Bedtime.
tomorrow. Bedtime.
Yeah.
And last but not least, you can check out some merch and some designs that we have on Redbubble and Threadless. I also saw that Threadless just added skateboards to the artist shop, so
What?
I'm thinking a
What?
Pop Culture Punk skateboard
Oh,
hanging like
snap.
right there.
Yes.
Let's go.
Right above the TV.
Do
Young
it.
Jamie, can you order us a skateboard, please? That'd be great. Until then,
Oh, before we go,
yeah.
we didn't say next week we will
That's
be
right.
chatting with our wives.
Yep.
And so be sure to check that out and
Yep.
shoot us any emails at popculturepunks@gmail.com.
Definitely ask lots of questions.
Ask lots of questions and whatnot.
That's true. Cool. Well, this has been great. Isaac, thanks for
Yeah,
thanks for having
Thanks
me.
for coming on.
This
This
is
was
so much
awesome.
fun.
Cool. Good deal. Until then, we'll catch you all on the next episode, and we bid you a fond cowabunga.
Tea and honey put me to sleep. I wake up dreaming I'm lost, come find me. And I won't remember, you won't either. Don't tell me I'm drifting on clouds and on streams. And I wonder what's gonna happen to me. I wonder what's gonna happen to me. Only 10 from 30. Never thought I'd worry. I've always wanted the next thing more than anything. I guess you knew more than I thought. I guess I've been just a little wrong all along. So tell me it'll be alright. Hold me close and don't ever say goodbye. Right here and right now is all I'll ever need. Don't give me tomorrow just yet. Don't give me tomorrow just yet. I wonder what's gonna happen to me. I wonder what's gonna happen to me. I wonder what's gonna happen to me. I what's gonna happen to me. I wonder what's gonna happen to me.